Besides each other, we're here with a very special episode of VSW podcast. I got the one and only with me, Dante Drago. Welcome.
We did it. We made it. I put cutie patootie on my name too. I don't know if that people could see that. I'm pretty proud of that one. Yeah.
Dante Drago is the best. Cutie patootie. That's great. That's great. You know, I have to say, I recently just saw you in my hometown, too, of all places, at Chaotic Wrestling, and you put on quite a spectacle. It's not something, you know, it was fun. It stopped me in my tracks, and it was like, this is something different. I don't see this a lot. And then the wrestling was behind it to back it up, which was even better. Because, you know about the wrestling, right? You know, you can be super highly entertaining, or you can be super really athletic and great in ring. But then to combine the both, it's amazing.
Yeah, I like to make the joke that I joined I started my wrestling career as a super serious wrestler and realized I would make zero money doing that, and then found out, oh yeah, I'm also super entertaining too. So I just do that.
Well, I mean, not for nothing. If I have my facts correct, you're coming from like probably one of the best schools for like creative characters.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's Cap. They're like top. I really do. I mean, the people that have come out of there, like MJF and stuff, Shook Crew, people that are on the scene, like Gabby Forza, all these people right now are all coming out of there. And it's just like, it's a different world. You guys are putting out stars after stars out there. And granted, we got great schools out in this area. You know, Chaotic has a great school. They're putting out stars.
Very good.
And, you know, Limitless is up in Maine, and there's all other schools in between. This is my wife, by the way. She's going to be joining. She'll, like I said, at some point ask 5 questions. It's a new segment we do here on the VSW. But yeah, you know, you trained out at Creator Pro. So, like I said, I think of them as one of the top schools for characters.
Yeah. I've been training at Creator Pro now, I think 6 years plus, which is a little crazy to think of. I've been there for so long. But, you know, you have MJF, you have Max Caster, and even like the guys who are coming up now, Bryce Donovan, Bobby Orlando, Aaron Rourke. All these guys have such a wealth of knowledge that, you know, you can ask them and pose them any question, and, you know, they'll find different ways to not only take the question and answer it, but then find a way to, you know, make it a little bit better too. So it's a privilege to be a part of that school. But like you said, there's so many great schools in New England. New England's the hotspot, man. This Northeast area, we're cooking.
It is. I mean, I really don't think. I mean, and I've watched wrestling all around. And granted, I tune in. IWTV is a great tool for that. You know, you can check out promotions everywhere, but there's just something about this area in the Northeast. There's something about, you know, something from like probably like the Philly, New York, Jersey area, all the way up to the tip top of Maine.
Yeah.
It's just some of the greatest wrestling out there.
Mm-hmm. I think the schools play a huge part in that too. Because I like to think about it where you look at like a geographic map of like, hey, Chaotic is up here in Massachusetts, Beyond's over there in Worcester. They're pretty close. Then you have these Long Island guys, and you got these Jersey guys, and everyone's shooting around, driving different places. So we're just lucky to be in the hot spot. You know, you're wearing a Vacation Land Cup up in Maine. For us, that's like a 7-hour drive, but it's doable. You know, Aaron Rourke was there. Aaron Rourke was kicking ass, taking names up there. You know, it's beautiful to see so much wrestling in the Northeast moving around.
You know, you say it is. It was about like a 3-hour ride for me, but then I've done the same going reverse to like IWTV 100 out in the H2O Center.
Yeah,
you know, I'm driving out that way for shows. I did some New York shows. I went to you know, Ridgefield up in Jersey. They were having shows out there. We Are Wrestling, some other shows out there. Mm-hmm. And you know, so I've done that trip out that way too. And you know, as a fan, as someone that enjoys it, someone likes to podcast, talk about things, analyze things. I don't mind the ride, and I think it's kind of cool. You know, when I'll go to like show to show, and they could be on opposite sides of New England. But you'll see, you know, the guys at the same show selling merch, and they'll remember you from the night before, and, you know, they're like, wow, that's dedicated fandom. And sometimes it is. The fans will drive if they like the product. And right now there's really good product out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's really fun to see, especially like I have a lot of friends, who are fans, and they travel around a lot, and they're going to different shows, and they're telling me who they're seeing, who I should look out for as a wrestler, and who they want to see me work. And you form these relationships with these people because if there's no reason for us to do these drives if people like you, people like all these amazing fans that we have are doing these road trips too. Our Limitless, Beyond, Chaotic, Cap, all these promotions, they wouldn't exist if people didn't want to go travel and see them. So it's really people like you that are keeping the independents alive.
But I love it, though. I mean, I honestly prefer it. I mean, yes, granted, I grew up in, watching, 80s and 90s wrestling, and that captivated me. That reeled me in. But for a good part of my adult life, I didn't watch any wrestling until I ended up landing, at a local show, checking it out. Yeah. And just kind of thrown back that the local scene was very similar to what was on TV, but just, minus that, the money, the moolah, and the production. Mm-hmm. I started off some, shows like an NCW, and then I was like going to Beyond Wrestling. And when I hit Beyond Wrestling, I was like, okay, now I'm seeing like Orange Cassidy, I'm seeing Chris Statlander, I'm seeing these people, and I'm like, oh, this is like TV wrestling right here. It's just, and around a little bit later, obviously the pandemic came in, and then AEW was rising, and that would even like boost everybody up even more, because then I was seeing all these people that I was seeing locally on like AEW Dark and over here and over there. And like, you must know how it feels. Now, you said you've been training for what, like 6 years? You've been wrestling for around? So, you put that back now, we're in 24, so like 18. You had a lot of guys that were there that are now in the next level. Yeah.
I went to my first Cap show in 2016, and my friend just brought me there. But like, I wasn't a pro wrestling fan until much later on in my life, and even at that first Cap show, the main event was Massage NV, VSK, and Dorian Graves versus Best Friends Trent and Chuck. MJF is on that show. Caster's on that show. My first introduction to independent wrestling was a well-produced independent show in the garage in Hicksville, New York, of these people who would blow up, and I had no idea. So then I start going to shows, and I'm realizing that, oh, hey, I want to show Josh Briggs. He's on NXT now. Oh, I'm on shows with so-and-so. They're doing all these cool things. So it's just cool to see, because people who were, in my shoes 4 years ago are now making a living off of being a pro wrestler. So it kind of drives guys like me who's in that like upper echelon of like, all right, we're trying to make a name for ourselves.
And it can easily happen. In a couple of years, you could get noticed. And it's not even just, by WWE anymore. There's AEW, MLWs out there making waves. You got a bunch of promotions out in Japan, Germany now blowing up as a spot. So internationally, people are getting contracts too. Yeah. And that's bringing a whole new flavor too. Because you got people like AG and stuff, and Rip Bison. They go out to Japan, they wrestle, and they come back with this wealth of knowledge. They share with everybody, and everybody gets to experience kind of that. Yeah. And that's great. It's great for the scene.
Yeah, shout out to Ripper and Perry. Good dudes. They just killed it. That's a goal of mine. I'd love to wrestle in Japan. I love the culture out there. That's always been like the place that I want to go most in the world. But you know what? The beauty of this sport is that we can go wherever we want, because wrestling's so widely known. Everyone should just go out and just go to a wrestling show, watch it live, watch it in person. Yes, it's cool being on your couch, but when you go out and you're in the seats and you're watching people, you could find them on TV in 2 years. And that's the beauty of independent wrestling.
It really is. It really is. And, the closeness you can get, and for the cost, you go to WWE, if you want to sit in those first few rows, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. If you want to sit and meet with the champion of, whatever show it is, it's going to cost you even more than that. Yeah. But you can go to an independent show, you can sit front row for $25 to $30, and you can meet with, everybody on that show for under $30. 30 being probably the top if they're like TV stars, like Dijak's back. He's charging like $30 for meet and greets, right? But he's NXT. He was just in WWE too. But you're not paying these $5,000 to $1,000 meet and greet prices, And when you're at a show, you feel like you're part of the show. Depending on what show, somebody might land on you, somebody might run at you. People are going to interact with you. If you start bantering with the heel, they're gonna come right at you.
Yeah.
And same thing for the baby faces and the good guys. If you start chanting them, the fans, they'll acknowledge that. So you get to be part of that a little bit more, and you get closer in than you would even on the bigger scene of things.
Yeah, I mean, you can go and spend $200 to watch, all these huge stars and big names and everything, or you can go to Watertown, Massachusetts, and see this weird kid from Long Island sing and dance to try and win a girl over. So flavors of ice cream in that case.
But that's what I'm saying. I would rather do that because I've seen whatever I've seen everywhere else a lot. Okay, yeah. I've seen it all since I've started watching wrestling, and a lot of it's on repeat. But I don't see what you're doing out there too much.
That's because you bring the entertainment. I loved watching you. It was great. When Versace told me that you were coming on, I was like, who? And then he was like, remember? And I was like, yes. I'm like, score. Great job. Good for you. I was so excited.
See, that's the key. If you can get the missus into wressling and she's entertained by it, then you really won.
All right. I did good then. Okay. Good to hear.
She's the hard cookie to crack. But she came to that chaotic show too. And, it was. There was some great wrestling on there. I mean, we've talked about a lot of companies. Chaotic has a rich history in pro wrestling. Yes. Dating back to using people like, Mercedes, Sasha Banks, and Triple H training out of Kowalski. And they've always been just a staple in New England. And they still continue to produce some of the best students and best shows out there.
Yeah.
And that was a very highly entertaining segment that you did put on, and we will talk about that a little bit later. I have a question to kind of scale back. So you were saying you didn't get into wrestling until later in life. What kind of grabbed you towards that?
Well, it was weird. So even as a kid, I was kind of like weirded out by wrestling. I was like, these guys look like they're really hurting each other, but like then they're fine and they're not bleeding. So I was like, something's up here. But it wasn't until around my sophomore years of college when I joined the amateur wrestling team for my high school. Shout out to the Seaford Vikings. Go Vikings. But my buddies were all into it, so they would all roll around. They would do RKOs. They would do Stone Cold Stunners. Eventually, I was like, this is all really stupid, but it looks fun. And I went over to a friend of mine's house. I watched Royal Rumble 2015. This is the one that Reigns won. That everyone at, and I was so confused. I was like, why are they booing him? He did such a good job. And from then on out, it was just off to the races. And a friend of mine introduced me to Creator Pro, and I always was an athlete. I always liked being an entertainer. And I just kind of went, oh, I could do this. Yeah. And 6 years later, I have absolutely destroyed my body and self-esteem. But we're here. We made it.
Well, I mean, that's the life of a pro wrestler, right? If anybody's watched the movie The Wrestler, that's pretty much what it is, right? You've destroyed it all.
That discouraged me. That was like, I was like, all right, do I really want to do this? That and what's the one with Mick Foley?
I mean,
Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Mat, but that's the thing. The industry has changed dramatically.
It has, yes.
Yes. From every decade, it's gotten, in my opinion, better, cleaner. We're still getting, a lot of things changing in the industry. But, as far as the way even wrestlers look at themselves now, totally different. Back in the day, they acted like rock stars. 80s, they were like rock stars. They didn't put much emphasis on the health part. They went out, they were in shape, they pumped weights, they looked great, but they weren't doing everything else that it takes to stay healthy. And a lot of, unfortunately, died very young. But if you look at the wrestlers today, they treat it more as athletes and athleticism as a basketball player would or a football player would. Mm-hmm. They take care of their body as a whole and their mind more too. There's less, drug use involved. There's less of that party mentality, rock star life, and more about, I want to do this for the longevity. I'm going there for a little bit longer here. And, there's also, new studies obviously about the head and injuries. And so people have learned how to say the same stories without, redoing what they did in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I there's so many things that factor into that. The culture of locker rooms change. How vets, educate, younger talent rather than, put them down to protect spots. How, people intermingle. There's a lot of, oh, you're on this show, I'm not going to talk to you with this, or you're on that show, it means you can't work for my show. And also for fans, the fans have gotten smarter. The fans know what they want to see. And I believe that there's a lot of things that have changed in wrestling, most of it good. Some things are kind of like, all right, maybe I wish people weren't so on the nose with certain things. But, it's where we're at in the business, and it's constantly evolving. So in 10 years, who's to say that, someone comes along and changes everything again, and now we're all back to this, slower style and stuff. But it is,
and part of it, I think, is because, the wrestling evolved, and then also the way people watch wrestling is evolved. It used to be, cable television was the way to go, at least when I was there. I went right through those Monday Night Wars, flicking back and forth, everything, pay-per-views, and then we got internet. Internet was great and wonderful, but it wasn't where it is today.
No.
A lot of people watch wrestling in social media, and a lot of people watch it in 15 to 30-second clips. Nothing more than that. So a lot of wrestlers have learned, well, I only need to do, 4 or 5 30-second amazing things, and I have a good match. At least that's what the fans will film, and that's what will be remembered as. And some people get into that mentality. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's the best thing to do. I think, a match is a match, and if something special happens, it'll be there, it'll be captured regardless. You shouldn't really try to work for the social media limelight. Again, because it doesn't reflect the overall match. And then when somebody goes to the overall match, if it's not good and it just looks like you worked on that one spot, then it's just no different than any other kind of YouTube or anything other kind of fad. It's just kind of, it gets debunked very easily.
Right.
But we are in that kind of era where, these things do. So a lot of people doing these high-end spots and that. But it's not everywhere. I mean, you still have a very traditional flow, and it all depends on, the wrestler and the promotion. What kind of feel does it have? Some promotions are more like punk kind of rock feel. Others are more traditional. You got crazy things like Rad Pro, brings it back to the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'll give a quick shout out to Blitzkrieg Pro. I feel like they do a great job of blending all styles. They have some, hardcore, street fight kind of things. They have some, really technical classics that they throw some 2 guys out there who just go at it. One of my favorite matches of the year, Marcus Mathers versus VSK. Their Luau show. Just like 12 minutes of just like great action, hard-hitting stuff, and they just go out there and kill it. So shout out to them.
Yeah, definitely. They were one of my
real.
When I came back from, I started, like I said, I started getting into indie wrestling probably around the time you did, 2018. I started going to shows, and then the pandemic shut us down. You're in this area kind of, so wrestling was kind of hard to come by for a little bit. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do something though. I had started to gain friendships in the industry with wrestlers, and with Facebook and social media. I saw everybody kind of sad and sitting there. WrestleMania weekend was a bust for a lot of guys and girls.
Yeah.
So I started doing a podcast. I started doing buying merch. I started doing a bunch of things to support the industry, sponsoring shows, doing all these things. And, when wrestling came back, I just hit the scene and went crazy. And I tried to go every show I could possibly go to that I couldn't get to before. I said, I'm going to Maine one night, Jersey the next, VXS out there. The next day, IWTV 100, Camp Leapfrog. I was doing it all. But one place I wanted to go was Blitzkrieg. I saw that there was this, it was, I think, the Eat the Meek. It was Anthony Green versus MV Young. And, cool matchup. Anthony Green had just come back. And I didn't get to go to the show, though. Something happened. I didn't get to go. And I met another friend, and I ended up going to the Luau for the first time. It was my first Blitzkrieg show. And I was just amazed because, I've seen great quality shows, granted, but I've never got to see that great quality show, their end of it, because I never get out that far in the West. And going out there was just superb, everything. And they did. The styles were blended. You had, some great fighters like, TJ Crawford and CPA, but then you got other people, like you said, killing each other out there.
Yeah.
And, this other dude got rabies. You got all these, blends of things going on.
I got
very well done. I was very highly impressed. Another one of my favorite kind of promotions.
Yeah, you touched on it briefly, really quick. I just want to say that yes, I'm gonna put over the VSK Marcus Mathers match, But I think that if you are a fan of the current state of independent wrestling, you need to do yourself a favor and go out and watch the main event of the Blitzkrieg Pro Luau. You need to watch CPA versus TJ Crawford for the Bedlam title. Those two guys put on a show, and that place, I have never seen the Enfield. I'm getting like goosebumps. Never seen Enfield rocking like that.
Were you at the show?
I was. I got pants at that show, actually. Me and Nick were boycotting, so we came out in...
oh, yes. I remember now. Okay, now, because I didn't see you, really. I didn't know you until Chaos. Yeah. That was a little bit before. Now I remember you guys were boycotting. I saw you in intermission.
Yeah, we were chanting at intermission, boycott the luau, buy our merch. Boycott the luau.
See, I wish I know now. Now I would have bought your merch.
Nah, it's all right.
There's always a next time.
I love, if you have the chance to go out to the luau, go out to the luau. Blitzkrieg Pro. I can't say enough good things about that promotion.
Yeah, it was honestly like a different experience. Like I said, I just come from and that was its own experience too. And that's why I love every show brings its own experience, but they're all good experiences. I haven't been to a show that said, "Ah, damn, I wish I didn't do this one." Like that's never happened ever.
That's the thing. And the same thing goes for, aspiring pro wrestlers. A lot of the things that we tell Cap Kids is get in the car, go and travel, meet people, network. Wrestling's a weird industry, but if you make some friends along the way, all of a sudden it's, oh, hey, here's so-and-so. I met him at the show previously. If you have a spot, you should give it to him. He's actually pretty good. And now you start working for this promotion, that promotion. Get in the car and go, especially as a fan too. Your favorite wrestler could be right around the corner. You have no idea who exists yet.
Yeah, like you don't really know who you're going to connect with, or who's going to inspire you that night, or what's going to inspire you. I've seen shows that inspire me. I've seen some that, last year I was kind of in a slump of just creativity and everything, and I came across a show. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Kill City Cup. It's it's a movie by Luke Roberts, and I just fell in love with the style because it was something so different and so out there and so funny and geeky. And it didn't matter what it was; it was just somebody's vision come to life. And I really something I could stand behind. So I started following and interviewing people and just fell in love with it. Like stuff like that, I love seeing it. And again, it brings me to kind of what you did. Something that you don't see. You came out first of all giving a really nice performance. Not a lot of pro wrestlers can sing very well. I think the last one to do it that good was probably at that luau with Paul London.
Yes, I didn't mean to steal Paul London's gimmick with this idea, but yeah, if you want to get into the whole details of how that came to be and what was going on, we
are gonna do that. I am gonna hand it over though first to my wife for Mrs. with the 5, or 5 with the Mrs. 5 questions. I don't even know what they are, but good luck.
I'm excited.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were to have a superpower, what would it be and why?
Oh, geez. Okay. Honestly, flying solely for the fact that it doesn't take me 5 hours to get to Worcester, Massachusetts and back, or chaotic. I think that's the most beneficial superpower. Just fly, go wherever I need to go. If I ever want like a piece of Starburst candy, just go down to CVS, just pick it up. Pretty basic.
Okay, my next question is, what's the last song you listened to before you came to do the show?
Ooh. Linger by the Cranberries.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What is your favorite home-cooked meal?
So actually, honestly, I'll just say my mom's chicken cutlets and penny alla vodka. I'm a good old Italian boy. I had my birthday this past week, and I was
happy birthday.
Thank you. I was like, Mom, that's all I want.
Buon compleanno, then. Buon compleanno.
Thank you.
Okay, since you had your birthday, what birthday cake or birthday treat did you have?
I had 3 ice cream cakes over the course of 4 days. Not just by myself, but I love ice cream cake. The crunchies, everything. There's a place down Long Island, if you know it. It's called Marshall's. They got the old school Carvel machines. They make the best birthday cakes right there. You guys
I
ever
love
find
ice
Thousand
cream.
Island? That's the spot.
Okay, here's the next one. The cake one was just an extra one
Oh,
because
bonus,
I
huh?
got an
I
extra
love
one. I got an extra one. Let's go.
yes. All right, let's go, baby. My next question is: who would you interview if you could interview anybody, and what question would you ask them, and why?
Jeez. Okay. Can I give two answers for this?
Sure.
Yes.
I'll give a wrestling answer because it's a wrestling podcast, and I'll give my actual answer. My wrestling answer would probably be a toss up between probably like Taker or Shawn Michaels. Could be Triple H just so I could ask him for a job. Maybe that's the best way to go about it. So, but if I had to pick a person who I'd really love to interview, I'd love to interview Paul McCartney. I'm a huge Beatles fan. And I feel like, he's on his way out. So if I could pick his brain and hear about, all the things that he's done in his life, that'd be, that's a dinner I would, give up anything for at that point.
Okay. Great answers. My last and final question for this interview is, well, actually, I have two. I'm sorry.
Seven questions.
I need to ask a little
Seven questions.
Okay, so my final, legit question is, what's your favorite video game?
Ooh. Pokemon Diamond.
Good game, good game.
Pokemon.
I like Pokemon, but I can't play too much just because days go by.
Yeah. I
lose days.
I play Pokemon every single day, basically. Every single day. Right now, it's college football.
That's honorable.
Right now, it's college football 25. I hate that game, but it's so much fun.
I play Fortnite every day, at least for an hour.
As you should.
Just to get all the cool skins, though. Like every season, I try to collect them all.
Nice. There. See, Pokemon.
I play that too, but like I said, with Pokemon, I get deep into it, and then it's like days are gone, literally. Like it'll be like Monday, and then Wednesday comes. I'm like, oh, it's Wednesday.
Oh no.
The Switch is plugged in, so it's not going to lose power.
I have it on my phone, so it goes everywhere with me. It's horrible.
Oh.
It's an addiction.
My last and final question is, sorry, Versace, but can you come back on our show again?
Yes, of course.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for doing my more than 5 questions. Shh. It was so nice chatting with you.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate all the questions.
No, I guess I want to ask a question. I guess I was thinking of while she was asking all those questions. When you mentioned that first show, was MJF the same person you see on screen?
So I can tell you, with this is it might sound like, oh wow, super forced, yeah, he knows Max or whatever, but I literally watched him, didn't know what his name was, no idea who he was, and was like, this guy needs to be on TV. I knew the second that he walked out of the curtain, he had a look, he had a scarf, he had an attitude, and I literally was like, that a pro wrestler can be better than this. And that's before I even was into pro wrestling. I just looked at him and I was like, this guy's insane. I've never seen anybody of his caliber.
Yeah, I mean, and I look back now, and I look back, speaking of Limitless, he was Limitless' first champion. Mm-hmm. And it just mesmerized me just thinking that, because I got in a little late at the scene when I got into it, AG was champion. AG had defeated him. MJF was already on the next level, At that point, he was sucking up to Cody Rhodes, I believe, on AEW, and they were bringing him in as a babyface. But I had already went back and watched what he did on the scene. So I was just waiting for that heel turn on TV, because I knew he can't sustain this for that long. He's one of the most guys that just draws the biggest heat. Him being a nice guy just can't happen.
Yeah.
And then when he turned, I was like, there he is. There's the MJF I remember from the scene.
Listen, if I could say one thing, it's not an act. That's Max. That is who he is. And he will, tell you what he thinks, whatever is going to get him ahead. That's Max.
But there's nothing wrong with that. At least we know what we're dealing with, and he's upfront about it. He doesn't lie. He doesn't pretend.
MJF doesn't lie. That's like all he does. He lies nonstop all the time. He's crazy.
I don't know. I mean,
he's
one of the people he's one of the people that honestly got me into AEW because okay, Jericho was cool and all, but I wanted to see what other people could do. I was a fan of Young Bucks as well, but MJF, seeing what he did in the local scene, knowing what he could do, and him entering in there is just like he's gonna again, become somebody even bigger. And he's been able to do that. And again, it starts in trainings in schools where like you came from.
Yeah.
And you see other people that go on the scene and they start at this going, it's like these things are tangible now where maybe, 40 years ago or 30 years ago, it was hard to think of. You had to know somebody to know somebody. But now today it's tangible. It's like, okay, just, 5 years ago, somebody got signed to a big deal. It's like, it can happen. Put in the work. There's a formula out there, between work and what you do and how you market yourself and all these different things that you put together to make yourself successful. And if you do follow that and you have the dedication, you've got the time to dedicate to all these individual things, you can get, to the highest level you want to get to.
Right.
Nothing's going to stop you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I give a ton of credit to all the Cap guys that are in AEW right now. Bronson, MJF, Chris, Mark Sterling, Max Caster. One, for paving the path for a lot of the other students who are kind of like, oh, it's not just we're training and busting our ass for no reason. There's a goal. There's an achievable dream in mind. But, it's only surface level that people see on, those 30-second clips, A lot of work went into Chris Statlander before she got signed. A lot of work went into Max Caster before he got signed. Bronson, Sterling, MJF, all the same. Those guys busted their ass and, they deserve where they're at. And the same way that most of these pro wrestlers do. Independent wrestling is hard, and to see them achieve the dream and the reason they started wrestling, as one of their colleagues and students, I'm proud to be a part of Creative Pro.
You had OC trained out there too, right?
Wait, OC
Orange Cassidy?
I was on shows with Orange Cassidy before he got signed to AEW. I did not train with him, as far as I know, at least. I could ask around. It's funny that people who've just stopped in at Cap randomly to say hi to somebody and end up just rolling around. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, I didn't know if he was out there. Because I've seen him do a lot of work with Chris, even on the indie scene, and even like at IWT 100, they kind of they teamed up together. So I didn't know if he was from that, if he had trained out there. I know he's from, I think, that area though. Mm-hmm. But that's another one that puts a lot of dedication, effort into character, and it's a character that's something different. And again, we're going to talk about that now. You came out, you did, like I said, a very nice performance. It's something you don't typically see in wrestling. It's giving you another side of what you can do, whether you bring music or if you're into music or you sing. You're bringing that side of yourself out. Mm-hmm. But you also make yourself a little kind of vulnerable because it's not your typical wrestling thing. You're going to get, laughed at. The people are, making fun. But, you did it with perfection.
Yeah. That was an interesting day. First of all, I will say this. I came to Chaotic like 3 or 4 months ago at this point. And since I've gotten there, one, I have nothing but respect for the guys and girls who are in the locker room, all the students that work so hard to set these shows up, all the amazing fans that I've met. You guys are all absolutely amazing. In terms of how much you care about the stories and the wrestlers, and that people have their guys and their fans, and they come because they really care about it. I've been blown away by what Chaotic has been able to do, and it's no wonder why they've been around for so long. Something that I like to do is, especially with this, interest with Paris. It's what's going to be the one thing that people go home and they go, oh well, that was cool. Whoever that guy is, I remember him. And then they come back and they go, that was the guy who did that. It was a situation where I think there was enough trust in me in the office to say, all right, well, you have free range. Go out and make something happen.
Did they know that you were going to do it to that extent, or did they just kind of have an idea? You were like, this is what I need set up, and I'm just going to go.
Well, so the show before was Owlmania, and at that show, Paris, teamed with another individual, which upset me greatly, but, what are you going to do? When it was decided, Dante, you're going to be back next show. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to, show Paris how much she means to me. I want to surprise her. And they said, okay, what's the surprise? And I said, well, I'll get back to you. And then I promptly, forgot about the surprise. And then eventually someone said, hey, what's that surprise, by the way? And I went, oops. And I had to just think. I was like, all right, what's going to be fun? What's going to get Paris involved? And if she's going to like it, and what's going to get the fans involved? Are they going to like it? What's going to get people backstage watching it? Are they going to get it? And then it was just, what if I just put it all out there? And I took 6 or 7 years of singing lessons. I took a singing class in college, and I was like, well, I can kind of do this. My brother is actually the more musically inclined one, Marco John on Instagram, if you check him out. And lo and behold, I came in the day of with decorations, empty box of chocolates, and roses with thorns in them. And I just let it all out there. I did not expect it to work. I did not expect it to be a hit. I didn't think anybody would care. I thought I was going to make an absolute fool of myself. I thought it was going to be the most embarrassing moment of my life. And it ended up being the most viral thing I've ever done in wrestling. So
yeah, like I said, my wife remembered it when I mentioned who was that. I was like, well, that's the guy who did that. And she was like, oh, yeah. She was all excited and happy. She's like, well, it's only finally with some character, some flavor.
Mm.
Let me ask you a question, though. Why Paris? She's, kind of mean.
I think that's kind of why. I don't know. I like it when they play hard to get. So.
Okay, I could see that. Very talented, though. And she's another one. I remember her when she came on the scene. She really kind of just kept evolving every show, getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really like, too, about the indie scene, that you can follow guys and girls throughout their career of when they've entered and, their debuts and they're starting, to hit the shows. And then that, a couple years later, where they're at is just like, wow, that the progression always goes so much high because everybody just takes off. And they find innovative ways to do it, whether it is through social media, whether it is through, other avenues, music. Look at people like Joe Hendry with his songs, that gets people over. And it's something that not every wrestler can do. It's not something that every wrestler is doing.
Yeah. Wrestling is all about evolving. And before I even got the opportunity to come to Chaotic, I was a character that I called the Frat Star, who was a college party boy, run around. I had a paddle, I had star glasses, I was always playing beer pong, and that was all so much fun. I loved being the Frat Star. I loved being in my tag team with Jack Tomlinson, Vlogbro University. But it got to a point where I was like, well, I'm not resonating with what I'm doing anymore. I feel like it's reflecting in my work. And people would always say, you're an entertaining guy on your own. You don't need this party stuff. You don't need to have this paddle. You're creative enough to express who you are and get this across without having this, quote unquote gimmick. And
you're already the party. You are it. You are the gimmick.
Kinda, yeah. It was just kind of like, all right, well, what's to change? What's different? What can I do? And that's kind of where Drago is the best came around, because it was just like, it's like a rallying cry. It's like, what hypes me up. It's, a weird, funny thing, because it's just that. It's Drago is the best. What is he the best at? I don't know, everything. Like, there's no way to pinpoint it. It's just meant to be.
And it can mean whatever it can mean. And that's another thing. Wrestling is very subjective. So, people like different styles of wrestling. People like different kinds. People like different characters.
Yeah.
People like good guys. People like bad guys. People like whatever, And that's what I think is so cool, You kind of take all that in what you like. And you can leave the stuff you don't like, and you don't even have to talk about because it's like there's so much for everything in every show that you go to. Let me ask you: do you because you were with the tag? Do you prefer working singles or tag team?
So I've been a tag wrestler for a majority of my career. When I first got on shows, because mind you, the Frat Star is a true thing. That was me. I was in college as a pro wrestler, and I really didn't know who I was as an individual. And I just,
you extended it, like they say, a good wrestler extends themselves and kind of brings that to the the character. You did that with that, but like you evolved, like you said, it didn't really pertain to your life.
I was in a tag team with a fellow by the name of Pat Sawyer. Shout out to the Indigenous one. And my first match, and I'll give a shout out to Excite Wrestling. I am the current and reigning Excite International Champion. Very proud of that one. My home away from home promotion. I love Excite and all the people up there. And yeah, I came out one day and I told all my frat buddies, I was like, yo, come to this wrestling show. You guys see something funny. And I came out like wearing like the frat t-shirt and stuff, but I wasn't the Frat Star yet. I was just a dude who was wrestling that wrestled, who also happened to be in a frat. Pat picked it up and was like, this is awesome. Let's be a tag team. We called ourselves the Frat Stars. Once we split up, I kept the name. I went back from college and I met Jack Tomlinson. And then me and Jack became Vlogboard University, and we, traveled and we did a lot, and we worked for Live Pro and Beyond and Rad Pro and all these really cool promotions. And, it was all great. But, being in a tag team has its ups and downs. You're, trying really hard to keep everyone on the same page and prioritize the same stuff. And it just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I think I'm confident in my abilities enough where I can strike it on my own and I can produce and have these really fun singles matches. And I've been having the most fun of my career by far. I still am in a tag team, Delta House with Nick Robas, where you saw me at Blitzkrieg.
Yep.
And I love Delta House. I love teaming with Nick. But it's, a couple promotions at either, Blitzkrieg really is the only one that really tag at. VPW, we're a team. And they have their drawbacks, but right now I am having the time of my life as a singles wrestler.
And honestly, there's more opportunity. There's more single stars. Not that the tag divisions aren't great. The tag divisions, for most of the promotions, have really strong tag teams. There's a lot of good ones out there. But
I forgot my other tag partner.
Oh,
potential Paris.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, but that's in chaos, and I think that
she gets
that could be a great tag team, and especially where like you said, you got well, like I said, I think she's a little mean, but you don't seem to have an issue with that, so it will work. She'll come to light. I think you really kind of proved yourself at the last show.
I did call her a loser in the song, which I thought was the funniest line, but at the same time, kind of didn't hurt my chances.
Well, I mean, comedy's comedy, and sometimes you got to laugh even at yourself, right?
I laugh way too often at myself. I'm an idiot.
I've called myself an idiot too. I mean, I'm just sitting here podcasting. I'm interviewing people.
My name on the screen is Cutie Patootie right now. I'm 25 years old. We have fun here, man. That's what wrestling's all about.
My name's Versace Stoner. I'm over 40. What do you know what I'm saying?
Can I say this though? You sparked that thing up, and I got jealous. I was like, man, I wish I had something here, dude. I'll do this thing sober. I was like, man, Versace Stoner, it's not a gimmick, dude. He's blazing up.
Originally, I wanted to do something like live and in person, and do interviews and like do something with that. That guy that like brings out the drinks. I was gonna bring out and hand, I guess, a joint, spark it up, and just see where the convo goes. It would just be crazy.
You just have 6 bongs lined up, and you just do hot ones with weed. You just get the guy just obliterated. That's an idea. Someone's gonna steal that one day. We're gonna come back to this, and I'm gonna say, "Hey, I thought of that first."
Hey, it's copywritten here first.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I did get a fan question from somebody, and they were saying that there's a cool new promotion in coming to Boston that you're going to be wrestling at.
Is there?
Yeah, let me see the question. I did get it.
If there is a cool new promotion, let me know so I can go.
Yes, we did get a question here on your interview, which I don't always get fan questions, so I was kind of like, oh, cool.
Now I feel like I gotta.
Very cool. Let's see. Sorry, I did a bunch of postings.
That's all right.
You got to stay kind of busy on social. Yes, I got a question from Joe. So, what is this company, Beantown Wrestling Alliance, and that you are working on October 3rd?
October 3rd. Well, I don't think I've heard of Beantown Wrestling. October 3rd on a Thursday. I don't know if that exists. I think this guy's lying to us. I think I need to add some light in here. I think this guy's lying to us, Versace Stoner.
Okay, well, I'm not, like I said, that's the question. What is this company, Beantown Wrestling Alliance, and are you working on October 3rd?
We should find this Beantown Wrestling and hit them up and say, why aren't you booking Dante Drago? And then he can make that call. And then I could tell him that Thursdays are a really hard day for me. Otherwise, I'd be on Wrestling Open all the time. Because
yeah, I mean, Thursdays there is something. I'm seeing a poster for it in Beachmont, VFW in Revere, Mass, October 3rd, 6:30 p.m.
If I'm on that poster, that's hysterical.
Dante Dio?
Dante Dio! What? That's crazy. Who is this Dante Dio character?
No idea.
Dante Dio.
But maybe he got things confused.
Dante Dio. This guy's an Eagles fan. It's not the wrestler. Don't hate him.
Yeah, no idea. But this is, like I said, maybe he got things confused. Maybe not. Not sure.
Let's check this out. I'm gonna look up Dante Dio right now. Get to the bottom of this.
But yeah, like I said, was questioned, got the question in, figured why not ask. Like I said, don't always get fan questions. Sometimes I just,
I
for whatever reason, I don't get it. But that was the fan question. And I will look into it. I mean, if it is a real promotion, I would love to see it. More wrestling, the better. Anything in Boston would be nice. I don't have to travel out of state or go 3 hours north.
There you go.
But, we are lucky with Chaotic because they run like 2 to 3 shows a month. And they do it varying towns, and even Tewksbury or whatever. It's not too far from me, so I end up going back and forth to some of those shows. So I might be going Friday to Tewksbury. I know they're doing Under Siege.
Yeah, it's Dante Drago and Paris Vandell versus Shooter Boys.
The Shooter Boys. I tell you, I wasn't impressed with the Shooter Boys at all.
Well, you're gonna be very impressed once me and Paris wrestle them.
Well, I hope so. Because I grew up with really strong tag teams, like Demolition, Hard Foundation, really just good, solid teams. And I don't always see that. So when I see a good team, I'm like, let's go. You guys impressed, though. I think if a couple more matches together, that you guys will tighten up.
Yeah.
And maybe you can get an almost Legion of Doom finisher. You can put the guy up on your shoulders, let Paris jump off the top.
Yeah, and then we can go for a walk in the park and talk about our feelings.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you want to do that after beating the shit out of 2 other guys?
Yeah, see, that's what it's all about. You get into a fight and then, split a cookie skillet at Applebee's.
All the emotions are out, you're angry, this and that. You might as well let the love out, too.
I will touch on this really quick. You can say you're not impressed with the Shooter Boys. I will remind you really quick that those 2 kids are both 18 years old. Both have been wrestling for only not even 6 months, probably. They're already leaps and bounds ahead of where they should be. If they haven't won you over yet, I will bet money on it. Come, a year from today, you will be going, all right, Dante was right. The Shooter Boys are pretty cool.
I only root for the
They're
heels.
only going to get better. And I'm
I
already
only root for the heels, though. I will appreciate the wrestlers, but I only really root for the heels.
There you go.
There's very few baby faces I've ever said, congratulations for winning.
And I had to sing a song for that to happen.
But I mean, like, even like when I watch horror movies, I'm 90%, rooting for the killer too. So I'm just one of those people. But no, in ring though, they gave you a good match. And that's the thing. If you're working on Chaotic, not for nothing, you have almost a seal of approval that you're doing something right.
Yeah.
You're working at any of these other shows, Blitzkrieg, you're doing something right. You're working on any show that's on IWTV, you're doing something right. You're getting a seal of approval. Agreed. These are all major promotions that are getting a lot of coverage, eyes and ears. They wouldn't put you on there if you weren't doing something right.
Yeah. I mean, a big goal for me, and it's been a big goal for me since I really broke out in New England, is, work at Limitless. I want to work at Limitless. I want to work at Beyond. I want to further my standing on the New England scene.
Well, you do Wrestling Open?
My situation doesn't really permit me to really wrestle on Thursdays, unfortunately. I love wrestling at the White Eagle. I think wrestling at the White Eagle is one of the biggest pleasures we have in professional wrestling, mostly because to have a platform where people can wrestle on a weekly basis in front of the same crowd and tell stories. Chaotic does a brilliant job with stories, but Wrestling Open has every Thursday forever, and they mean it. They do a wonderful job, and I gotta give shout outs to, Fancy Ryan Clancy, Bryce Donovan, Bobby, CPA. All these guys are doing awesome, awesome stuff. And, it just shows that New England independent wrestling and, like we were talking about at the beginning, Northeast professional wrestling is in awesome hands.
It really is. It really is. And like I said, I've seen some of the best wrestling up north. You can. That's going to be replayed soon on IWTV. I ask anybody to watch that championship match between Channing Thomas and AG. Watch anybody watch that Vacation Land. The finals. Another capster. As I'm a big fan of is Gabby Forza. She's killing it out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
I love the whole Nomi thing. I think she's, really athletic. She brings, the real impact to it because she also plays football, which is really cool. And, she's hard hitting. And right now she is like the Chris Statlander on the indie scene. She's like that next level. She's bringing a character that who would ever think would be a wrestler, like with the alien and booping on the nose.
Well, if you're curious, Chris Statlander and Gabby Forza go head to head as the Iron Savages and Gabby Forza take on Chris Stat and Adrenaline Express at the next Cap show. Sorry, I had to plug. How was that?
I'm going to have to get up there now. And then you guys are on my list, Cap. You really are. It's just a matter of planning it out. Now that I got my wife involved with the podcast, maybe she'll be like, let's go. That's the benefit of getting the wife into wrestling because then I can go to more shows. But yeah, I really do want to get out there because some of the best are coming from there, and it's just amazing to witness. See it on TV is one thing. I really want to witness it in person. I got two more questions. One official. Right now in the scene, anybody that you're really looking and itching to wrestle, that it's like a dream match for you right now out there?
Listen, I being a tag wrestler for so long and not really having a lot of chance to wrestle in singles competition, I really want to mix it up with Anthony Green. I've told him this. I said, I really want to have that match. A huge reason I'm at Chaotic is because there's a lot of guys who I really want to wrestle there. AG, JT Dunn, Danny Miles, even Chase Del Monte, I'd love to mix it up with him. Alec Price is a name that I really want to work. I want to have a singles match with Fancy Ryan Clancy, Channing Thomas. There's so many guys who I've, maybe touched in a tag match or haven't touched at all, but, that I've, gotten to see, watch, and grow. And, I want to, see where I stand next to them. I say Drago is the best, and I got to prove that, and I got to wrestle the best. So I'm open to any and all challenges at this point.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I do honestly invite you, like my wife said, I invite you to come on back on maybe in a couple of months, or the beginning of the year, and we can touch, back on how's, the singles career is going and what's going on with Paris. both of those things combined. But I do want to see how you're seeing it, Chris, because it is an open market now. The tag team division is one thing, but you just named a whole bunch of guys that are really solid indie wrestlers that are singles guys, and it's like you can put on some great matches that way. And nothing but respect for them all. I've even seen people like Alec Price just evolve through the pandemic and just get to the next level. Even people like Becca, she started off basic Becca and then just soared right through the pandemic. I love seeing that kind of stuff. It inspires me. It inspires me to watch even more wrestling because you never know who you're gonna see that's gonna be that next person to be that star or to break out. I love it. There's nothing like indie wrestling. Where can people find you socially? How can people follow you?
You can find me on Twitter at Dante_Drago, Instagram and Facebook at Dante Drago Wrestles, all lowercase, all no spaces. Pro Wrestling Tees, Dante Drago, YouTube, Dante Drago Wrestles, and just come to a Cap show, come to Chaotic show, come to Blitzkrieg and all these different promotions, and come say hi, man. We're always moving around and we're trying to build this fan base up.
Awesome. Love to see it. And thank you for taking the time to come on tonight and talk with me. It was like I said, you really stuck out at that last Chaotic show. And I just want to see more now. Can't wait to see more. And going back now too, because sometimes I it's not that people aren't noticeable and notable. Being that I wasn't in indies for very long, watching there'll be guys that I just didn't get to see or just skipped over just when I'm browsing matches. I don't end up watching whole shows, and then I see them or I interview them or I talk to them, and then I go back and watch everything they've done. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And I just love that. I love that about it all. But again, thank you, and best of luck with Paris. Honestly,
thank you. I think I'll need all the luck I can get with that. Her, she's a handful.
Yeah, a little bit, but you, I think you have it. I think you do.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I also want to thank everybody at home. Thank you for listening, and as always, support indie wrestling. Versace Stoner out.